Good afternoon. If you not fall asleep, your torture will be finishing the next 12 minutes. Now, further to what representative from NAFTOR and the other companies discussed so far, we will see a perspective from operator side to the best of our knowledge and from the experience we have gained so far through the 3 years we are running in paperless navigation so far for the tankers, at least, and part of our dry ships. So I will skip this slide because it has been already discussed by Mr. Papathimiou. Just to remind that the phase out of the tankers was July 2015, but it comes now the phase out for the dry ships. So from the percentage he had already mentioned, 68%, I think he said, most of them are tanker operators because they need to make this transition from to primary ECDIS navigation system, but doesn't mean necessarily that they moved to paperless. So this is what we'll discuss now, because they keep as a second backup system the paper charts. From our experience so far, we have seen some benefits. There are also withdrawn and disadvantages, but as part of the use of backup system electronic, we have seen advantages for certain trading areas, and if we compare the same vessel navigating with backup system electronic compared to paper, certainly is cost effective. To give you a number for VLCC, it used to be on about 24,000 yearly, while it is around 12,000 now for the same trading area, and depending always the package, as Mr. Zekil from NAFTOR mentioned, depending if it is pay-as-you-sail or route-based. So it is cost-effective. It reduces workload on board. Certainly, there are no paper corrections for the portfolio, especially for vessels with a worldwide portfolio. You need to correct about 5,000 charts, so we have reduced the workload. What we have seen, and it is interesting from our experience, is that when you don't have paper charts on board, crew is adapted more effectively to electronic navigation because this is the only option they do have on board. So they don't rely on paper charts, they are using electronic navigation because otherwise they can't be on board, so they have no other option. And we do eliminate the risk of inconsistency between the primary and secondary system because, as you're aware, SOLA's requirement is to have identical display information on both systems at real time and switched off from the one system to the other within 30 seconds. So it sounds easy that you can convert and bring all the information from the primary system to secondary, but the display of electronic charts compared to the paper chart is quite different. So it is not easy to transfer all the display information from electronic charts to a paper chart. Now, the disadvantage, of course, it is the failure. In case of any failure, Greek flag requirement, excuse me, for instance, they don't allow you to sail from the port unless you have the paper charts until the next port where the repairs need to be complete. So this is a problem, depending where you are trading. If you are in Nigeria or some other kind of ports, it's not easy to supply the paper charts. A solution is an emergency portfolio, which depends on the company how many charts you will provide to the vessel. The requirement is to reach on a safe port where you can complete your repairs. And a new approach from the oil majors, from tanker side, is even if it is not a requirement, there's no SOLAS requirement, they do imply from their approach during the various reviews, office visit and attendance, that they do prefer to have a third unit on board, so backup of backup. This is a different approach. We don't have this on board as yet. There's no problem so far, but they do require politely. And the other disadvantage is that there are certain areas where there's no ENC coverage, and for some areas where there is ENC coverage, data are not fully accurate. Depends on the zone of confidence and other quality of data displayed on the chart. Some problems so far, from our experience, there is no industry consistency. There is no guidance for certain issues that our operator, a second mate, has main concerns on board, setting of safety counters, requirements for the record in ECDIS voyage log, safety controls required to navigate in an area where there is no accurate data or low zone of confidence, which we'll discuss later on, and how frequent we need to cross-check the position when we navigate in paperless navigation. From the maker side, since we have also Bruno here, there are so many units, so many modules, so many types. They do upgrade very, very often. They vary from model to model, so you have to keep your crew trained. There are certain issues, and what I mentioned here is the DR, the dead reckoning, which used to be an old traditional way of making your position fixing. But if you are not fully aware of any safety implication by setting something in your type of model, you may navigate in a dead reckoning mode without even having any idea or warning, so you lose your position. This is main concerns, I understand, from the new version of the new standards of S52, S63. They are coming due by this August 2016. Those features will be improved and display data will be improved. So we will see what will be new in the next upgrade. And some of the models, they don't have a lineup of position option. In past decades, we couldn't even think about not being able to plot line of position and do celestial navigation. But there are still models where we are unable to plot position. From the crew side now, over-reliance to electronic navigation obviously eliminate crew proficiency to navigate safely when there is a problem or we lose GPS signal. Recently, there was one marine safety notice from US Coast Guard released for the potential hazard of losing GNSS position, mostly in US waters, but we all understand that it can be terminated or corrupted without any notice, so that makes more crucial the need of applying traditional methods of navigation. And certainly, improper display of necessary information due to lack of main navigation principles. For a second mate, it is quite difficult and very dangerous if he's not fully aware of main principles of navigation to control the error in the display of ECDIS and make the proper settings, including Andriaki clearance, safety depth, and all associated parameters. Some sharing experience, true and false assumptions from our perspective. We think that if we have an electronic chart installed and running displayed, this is a safe approach. This is not always correct. For the areas where there is no NESC coverage and we have to use a raster chart, this is the copy of the chart, along with a paper chart, we need to make adjustment of the geodetic datum that is used because it doesn't necessarily mean it is WGS 84, which is all the ENC adjusted to this datum. Now, the standards I've mentioned, S52, S63, this is the one approved, but something we don't know is that we don't know from where it comes from. I mean, there are providers that they can plan the protocol of the chart, for instance, a CMAP, which can be converted, and not from UKHO, it can be converted to a SENC, and a systematic electronic chart display on your ECDIS, and you may lose some data for which you have no warning, no error, so you might have no essential data displayed on your chart, even though in your protocol system, the cell it is approved for the SOLAS standard. I'm okay with the time. Another, true and false. Use of paper chart, we might think that is no longer safe. And this is false, obviously, since some of the operators, they have paper charts as a backup system. Obviously, it is a safe approach. And we will see later on a response we have from UKHO as for the use of paper charts. The paper chart is the traditional way we used to travel and sail so far. So when we don't have an ENC, in case of an emergency, in case of failure, this is the safest way to sail. We have an assumption that when there's low confidence, which I understand from you, you're using paperless navigation so far is quite known, the definition indicates the accuracy of position data for a specific ENC. We understand that if this is high, all the problem resolved is not so simple. And the reason I'm saying that is that each chart has a number of data and figures where you have to check in this named ECDIS pickup report. For instance, you might be the best ENC high zone confidence chart, But if your depth range value, which is a different data appearing in your ECDIS pickup report, is less from your safety depth, actually you don't have a safety depth setting. So this is another problem of loss of lack of knowledge, possibly. It will come with the time. We also learn from what we have seen so far. This is a reply we have from UKHO, and this is a little bit to explain how formal bodies respond to our concerns. With nothing, obviously, because responsibility lies always with the crew. So we had a passage, the captain is also here, through US waters. They have a different survey data they are using for the depth and position accuracy. I don't know if you have the experience so far. So most of the charts in the river transit of Mississippi, they are low zone of confidence. So when we ask them how to approach this area, if we should use another DNC or what they suggest, actually they said best of you is use your raster chart together with a paper chart. So that means that there is no alternative option or safest approach for using your paper chart when your ENC data are inaccurate or unavailable. So after this good news, is electronic navigation safe? Yes, if you are prepared, you have your safety control, your risk assessment, well-known definitions. We are very tired of listening risk assessment all the time, but it is crucial to identify your hazard, invest on your crew training, not only getting a certificate, because human element is the most important factor in all technologies, make them effective and working. So if you don't invest on your crew, the system will be totally useless. And practice your crew on traditional navigation methods. Everything can collapse at any time, even if you have 3, 4, 7 backups. If you don't have a GNSS signal, you don't have data. Dedicated management of change, a nice word, process. It means when you change something, plan your actions and your steps forward, and share your experience, because obviously we don't want to learn from our from trial and error or from incident, especially in safe of navigation, because we can try an accident. And after all, we have to remember that any change takes time to be adapted. And we gain something? Yes, we gain something from what we have seen so far. We can do distance audits by remote navigation through the VDRs, through the systems we get from the backups of the voyage logs. So we are learning from our incidents with real-time data. We can build up an integrated navigation data information where the master can have the weather, optimum passage, can get information for the optimum passage. Following what from the NAFTA we heard, the ADPs and ENPs, all publications can be integrated in one display, so all the information is available, and you can get easily the information. And we can also support better the vessel in case of contingency, because we can monitor at all times. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you for not sleeping.